Hi guys, Arthur here from Homeowner DIY. In this video, I'm going to be installing an Undermount kitchen sink. Now, I believe I have one other Undermount kitchen sink on the channel already. The difference with this one is a big, heavy kitchen sink, as well as I did the rough-in for moving the trap arm, as well as the backing to support the sink. Guys, check out the description for the videos for moving the trap arm in the rough-in portion, and then also the backing for the sink after the countertop was installed in case you have to do it yourself. But with that in mind, what we'll do now is look at our setup. Alright, so this is our setup. Unfortunately, the faucet is missing a piece, otherwise I would have done that first, but this is where the sink will be. I have my hot and cold coming up, and I've already done the dishwasher supply in the cabinet. But with that in mind, what we'll do now is material and tools. Alright, this is the materials list for this job minus the sink and the cup drain. So clear silicone, 1/2-inch steel strap, plumber's putty. For the plastic cup drains, they do have a foam gasket. If you don't want to use a foam gasket, use putty. If you want to use the foam gasket, you don't need to worry about the putty. 1.5 ABS union trap, 1.5 by 1.5 slip adapter, dishwasher Y. So this has a 1/2-inch outlet, 1.5 45, number 8 by 1-inch screws, ABS glue, and then ABS pipe. Guys, this is the materials list I have here. So what we'll do now is look at the sink and the cup drain. All right, so this is our sink here. This is a Blanco, and then it comes with a matching cup drain for this finish. But guys, that is the remainder of the material list. So what we'll do now is the tools list. All right, this is the tools list for this job. So hacksaw, 6x6 blocks. I have 4 of them to elevate the Automotive jack, which is here. A 2x8 block to support the weight of the sink. My cordless kit, I probably only need the impact. My pouch, so hand tools, measuring tape, tin snips, flathead screwdriver, we'll see what else. A container for water, silicone gun, a work light, and an extension cord. Guys, this is the tools list for this job, so let's install this sink. Alright, so this is my setup. I have 4 6x6 blocks. I have an Automotive jack, a block on top of the jack, and then the sink right here to the left that I'm going to install. So I'm going to get this sink up onto the jack, get it into position, and when I'm ready to raise it, we'll come back. Alright, so I got the sink in place. I'm going to raise it, get it roughly where I need it to be, and then I'm going to silicone the rim all the way around, and then raise it up into position, and give the silicone some time to dry. This silicone's not going to hold the sink in place. It's just going to keep water from leaking between the countertop and the sink into the cabinet. Okay, because this sink is going to have a reveal, it's not going to be flush here. When I silicone it, I want to silicone it on the back half. There's no point in siliconing here where it's going to be showing, because it's not going to do anything and you're just going to be wiping it off. I ran into a problem where the jack slid off the front of the blocks, so I cut out the problems that I had, and we're just going to go into the sink actually being in the proper position. Okay, so the sink you want to align all the way around. Now when you got the sink where you want it, go a little bit more with the jack, but be careful because the jack is for a 2-ton car. It'll destroy everything, so go until it's nice and snug and then leave it. The alignment of the sink and the countertop is going to be crucial. This is something that you're going to see, so make sure that you have it aligned or centered all the way around before you do the final lifting with the Automotive jack. Now, if you're having problems moving the sink, that means the jack is probably too high, so lower it down just slightly, get it into position, and then re-raise it for the final. Alright, so the sink is where I want it. So you're going to line up the sides, front and back, look all the way around, hit the inside of the sink back and forth as you need to, and then once that's all done, grab either a rag or a paper towel, and then clean the clear silicone away. If you leave any little bit, it's not a big deal because it will peel away. But I'm going to leave this now for the next few hours. I'm going to move on to something else. Make sure that the silicone has had some time to set, ideally overnight, but a lot of times that's not practical. So I'm going to go move on to something else, and then I'm going to come back in a couple hours and then start strapping the sink up. Alright, the sink has been up for about an hour and a half now. Like I said, ideally I'd like to leave it overnight, but I can't wait that long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw a strap in the front here, a strap in the back, and then I'm going to remove the Automotive jack. Alright, I have 2 straps in. I'm going to add another 2 just because this is such a heavy sink. Now the gable end over here looks to be about 1 inch, so if you go up on an angle with a 1-inch screw, you shouldn't punch through. If you do in this case, there's going to be a dishwasher, so it's not that big of a deal, no one's going to see it. So with the one side screwed in, make sure you give the strap a tug to get the slack out of it. As a rule of thumb, I like to use 1-inch screws. The reason is that you can go in about halfway, maybe 3/4, and you still have a little bit of the screw left to work with to tighten up your straps. When I tighten it, I will put 1 screw in, maybe halfway, go to the other side, tighten it, and then go back to the first side, and then go back and forth tightening the screws. And then I'm just going to do the pull test to make sure that the strap is nice and tight. Give it a tug. That seems fine. That seems fine. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and throw one more strap in. Alright, so I put 4 straps, 3 in the front, 1 in the back. You can see the straps off to the side. In this case, it's better to put more straps on the left, just overbuilt, so there's no problem. But with this now done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the cup drain. Alright, so this is the cup drain. So we have the internal part. This is the bottom. So this one has a rubber gasket. The rubber gasket will go here. If you don't have a rubber gasket, you can always use putty. This one does not have a symbol, so you don't need to worry about its orientation. Make sure it is nicely centered in the sink. Alright, so this is centered in the sink just like that. And now this part will come up from the bottom. And then the internal parts here. So this will go on next. There's a screw that goes into the middle that I'll show you in just a moment. Alright, so this is the bottom part. It has a gasket. It's grooved on one side, and then it's flat on the other. I don't think it matters which way it goes on. Anyways, I'm going to put the groove side to the top, and then here is the screw. So the bottom goes to the top, and the screw goes in through the middle. Alright, with the screw in the middle, hold the bottom in place and just turn. And then the screw will suck the internal part and the bottom together. Alright, I just realized this cup drain doesn't have a tailpiece. Thank God I have one with me, otherwise I'd be hooped. So this is the tailpiece I'm going to use. This one's chrome. And then here we have the nut. So that'll fit in like this. And then there is a rubber washer with the flat side. I believe that will go on the bottom. And then it just can be tightened on. Since this nut is plastic, I would suggest just do it hand tight. If it leaks on test, then you can turn it more with channel lock pliers. Alright, so with that on, we have the 1.5" slip adapter, so the nut can go on there. The white washer, so the cone side goes down. And that will go like that. So what's going to happen is dishwasher Y has to go between the slip adapter and the trap. Alright, so that's the trap arm in the back. The tape needs to be removed. So what I'm going to do is I have a 5-foot length of pipe. I'm going to grab that. I'm going to glue it in and then strap it up to the plywood at the top. Once that's all done, we'll come back. Alright, I glued my piece of pipe in. It has roughly 3/8 ½ inch per foot worth of grade, which is fine. So I need to come out on a 45 and hit this here. So how do you figure this out? The easiest way to do this is it's 9.5 inches from here to back here. So if you measure from the center on the wall here and go 9.5 back, that'll give you a rough idea of where the 45 is going to be. So somewhere in this range right here. Now, like I said with in other videos, with the trap you have swing, so you can always swing this back and forth along with this here if you're a little bit off. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, cut the 45 on. I'm going to glue it, and then we'll come back. So one other thing, you see how the stop is right in line with the trap arm? Because of the trap arm going to be offset on a 45, that's not going to be an issue. If it was, I would probably just lower the stops down so they're easily accessible. Alright, so for the 45, grade needs to be set on the very end of it, so I'll show you how to do that. So put the level on the end, and then you're looking for this bubble down here, and then you want it to be on the side. This would be level, this is back grading, it's sloping the wrong way. But this here is fine. It looks like it'll be just enough space for the dishwasher Y and the trap. Alright, so I'm going to push this back to the wall. Looks like it's about 7.5. Alright, so I'm going to glue the 90 in the piece of pipe on. For this fitting, be sparing with the glue. If you put so much glue, it can drip down the 90. It can drip down, and then it'll mangle your seat, and then your trap is going to leak after the first time you take it apart. Guys, I have talked about this in a video. Check out the card. And then level off the 90. So it looks good right there. Alright, so for the dishwasher Y, the dishwasher Y will fit, looks like 2 2-inch pieces. Two inch and 3/4 pieces. All right, with the sticker, I like to put the sticker in the back so no one just sees it. All right, so for the dishwasher Y, the back corner there is where the dishwasher drain line is going to come in. So you want to point it in the general direction that it's going to come to. Alright, so the cap can be snapped off and just dry fit in for testing. And now if I've done everything right, it should line up without issue. Alright, so we've got a little bit of water in the sink. This is not a proper test. Really, this is more to fill up the trap than anything else, just so there's no sewer gas that's going to come into the house. So I'm going to pop the drain in. We'll see if anything drips. The cap popped out for the dishwasher Y, but otherwise at least the trap is now full. Unfortunately, because I don't have the faucet in, I can't do a proper test, but everything looks good. So this is it for the sink install portion of this job. Alright guys, so that concludes this job. So I didn't run into any problems on this job. For something this heavy, I suggest throw more straps in. Keep in mind that with something this heavy as well, if you're going to put in something like a turkey or anything that is heavier on the heavy side, place, don't drop. The screws that are going into the gable end of the cabinet and the plywood, that is what's taking up the weight. So the screw is not going to snap, but you can tear the screw right out of the wood if you're too aggressive with something this heavy. It's already 30 or 40 pounds alone. By adding a big heavy turkey, now you're going to be up in the 60-70 pound range. So it will be very easy to tear the straps out from the wood supporting this sink. So that's one thing to be mindful of. The time on this job. The time was about 3 hours. I think it's about a 50% split with time just waiting for the silicone to set up. My recommendation is give it a night, but if you can't, then give it like an hour and a half, 2 hours. But other than that, everything went very smoothly on this job. The drainage, since I had it at the back of the cabinet, it gives you more space in the cabinet. And really the plumbing for everything here I have done, so as expected, everything worked out well. The real test for this was after the faucet was installed. I poured some water into the trap just to keep the sewer gas out, but like with everything else, in this case I would say give it about a 1/3 of volume of water in the sink and test it that way to make sure that you have no issues. The cost of this job. The cost was, I think, about $450. The sink itself is something like $350, and then the straps, silicone, the drain, and everything else would be the remainder. But the sink itself is the single biggest cost as expected. I don't even know what the cup drain cost because that was all customer supplied. But you can expect for something like this to be around $450 with all the material included. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. I hope something here is going to help you on your project when you need to go ahead and do that. Guys, till next time, please hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next project.